they're underperforming. I feel like Leap just doesn't do enough, even for the Wombo combo.
So I find myself having a lot of trouble getting into the back line without it.
Well, there's like a trick to figuring it out, like when and where you should be going into the back line. So I can like show you a little bit in the replay. Like issues, I'll tell you like issues I have like with your positioning. And
Okay.
also like with the certain builds you can go with Sonya if their backline's playing like way too far back. Um like hitting the tank isn't that bad because like for instance like one of the builds I go, we can't just go full whirlwind builds because they have no CC. It's almost just as good. In fact, like now I actually prefer the new build I go, which we can go over.
Yeah, if you could just let me know what that build is. I think I
So
watched your video on uh where you did the A to Z,
oh yeah. So it's
and I
basically
I
those
go I go
builds.
similar.
You go similar. The thing is, about Warpaint's level one is there's this thing and it's pretty psychological, and I am a firm believer that Warpaint isn't a bad talent. I think it's okay, but here's like the psychological aspect about block. When you have block like on, when people are auto attacking you, they just like sort of give up in the middle because they're like they see you're not taking that much damage. So block kind of has like some hidden power that people don't know about, especially on Sonya when you're whirlwinding healing. Because like people in Hero League always focus whoever has like the lowest HP. So level one, if I were you, I wouldn't be focusing too much on fighting. It was kind of fine that you whirlwinded on top of them because you realized that they didn't have that many threatening heroes. But what I would do normally at level one is just Q on the minion wave and just start spinning, just to help your team
Okay.
get the clear, and then instantly go top. Like you're not usually gonna get too much value level one on Sonya. Um, the way I play her always is I play for maximum tower damage. So while you were pushing that wave, like look at their enemy team comp. Can you pause for a second? So the enemy laner you realize is like a new Barak. Here's what I would do, and this is what I do in actually every single matchup, except for the two matchups that you're supposed to lose, which is Rexar and Malthael. In all their matchups, you don't really have to ever play for kills. Most of the time, you actually get solo kills. It's when you're not trying to solo kill them. So what you do on Sonya in the solo lane is, and you don't have to do the first part about it where you queue onto the minions, but basically you just push the wave as fast as you can and try to ignore the laner. If he's gonna stand and block the minions from going to the turret, you just literally W them and auto attack endlessly. Obviously at level 4 when you get shots of fury, it's 100 times
Yeah.
better. But you basically just ignore them, especially when it's a matchup you counter. Like for instance, let's say it was Thrall and you took block level 1, you just spin on the wave, and then once the wave's pushed in because he has no wave clear, you can literally just whirlwind on the tower because you hit all three parts of the wall. You hit the gate, the
And then
tower,
he
and
heals.
then the landscaping part of the wall. And you get like a triple of like the basic heal, not like the hero. And with your block, you're basically just gonna be full life the whole time. With the Nubarak, it's a
So
little bit harder. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, when you push in like that, how many minions do you want to have at least minimum?
It doesn't matter. If you only have like let's say 3 minions, and here's the thing, most solo laners don't have good wave clear. So you generally have the whole wave. Like here's what I usually do. I spin on the wave and then I always kill the three range ones in the back first. Because if you kill the range ones, the melees basically just do no damage. Like you kill the three range ones in the mage, and then at the end you kill the melees. If you do it like that, you generally always have usually 3 to 4 minions, and usually like two of them are the melee minions, unless they're like ignoring you and hitting them. And if that's the case, you can get like a lot of the times you won't get that much tower damage, but if the matchup's really in your favor, you can get a lot. So it all depends on that. Like in this matchup, like he has a lot of spell armor. So what I would have done if I were you is I would literally just completely ignore him because you're basically tickling him. And if he tries to tank the wave so you can't get tower damage, you just whack him. And like
Okay.
it's basically Sonya, all Sonya is she's kind of like this war of attrition. And when you play this style, what ends up happening is so often 2 or 3 people are gonna come top, but like if they're not equipped to kill you with their team comp, like look at the enemy heroes. They have Stitches, Anubarak, Ana, Li Ming, and Gazlo. Like which combination of 3 people are even gonna kill you? Like if you can dodge the Anubarak spells, it's pretty much almost impossible. Um, and what ends up happening is you're basically creating pressure. Your team's gonna randomly get a kill in the next 15 seconds because three people came top and one person's just gonna be overextended because they're bored. This happens in Grandmaster, so I know it's gonna happen in this rank too. And then let's say it doesn't, you'll randomly go up EXP because those three people coming top leads to you guys getting one camp, maybe stealing their camp, or them just missing like two minions to like the tower randomly. So you're basically trying to create as much pressure as possible and then absorb it too. What I mean by that is like once you get used to it, you won't really die to ganks ever because you know like, oh, it's coming. You know what I mean? And another thing is with this style, you have to read body language. Like when you're pushing the minion wave, if you just see him just walk back to his tower because he doesn't want to take minion damage, you know nobody's coming. But if you see he's like constantly just auto attacking you and your minions are hitting him, like you expect somebody to come top. It's always like that. People in HOTS like they don't like cover their body language when they're, setting up a gank. Only like really, really, really good players do that, and that's very rare. So you can just
So if
press
they're being super aggressive. Oh, sorry.
not aggressive, but more like let's say you cut this entire blue minion wave, right? And you have like four minions, and like let's say two or three of them are ranged, and one of them's like melee, and the globe minion's still alive. If they're all just hitting him, and he's just like, and he's not trying to set up a freeze. Like if he's trying to set up a freeze, that's something different. It just means he's like scared of you. But if he's just like fighting you, and you're just like getting a ton of damage on him, like he's not just doing that for no reason. He wants to bait you in so he can kill you. And if that's the case, you just back up and then you're absorbing the pressure. That's the one like biggest mistake in ranked, like always that like two or three people come top and then people are like they ping like crazy like oh I need help. Like no. The best way to get an advantage is them having three people top and then you guys doing something else on the map because you're Sonya and you're a soul laner, it's hard for you to die to like a three-man gank. Like you have more health than ETC at all stages of the game, so you're basically a tank. But like the one person on their team, it's usually going to be also like tankier characters that are ganking you. People who are like really squishy don't really go for roams that often. So like that one person who's in the lane by himself because there's three people top. Like if you have like any of the good tanks like ETC, Garrosh, Garrosh, Diablo, and like you have people following up, you generally just get a kill for free. If not, you get like a fat amount of damage on them because the mid and the bot lane are like double soak lanes. Like the solo lane, like if three people are there, you can just wait till they push the wave and then just get it at your tower. You don't lose anything. So it's all about absorbing pressure, if that makes sense. So yeah, you can press play
Yes.
again, and I'll tell
And
you
how do you
what.
think I should be playing against this new
So
Brack
here,
right
I
now?
would
Just
literally just Q one of the
like
melee minions and whirlwind, like just like that. Um,
I shouldn't be damaging him right now and just clearing the wave.
if you want to be damaging him, you should only be damaging him. You should be constantly looking at the model at the top of his screen. You see that timer that says 40 spell power? And you should only be hitting
Yeah.
him when that timer is down because you basically
Okay.
do almost like zero damage. But see, here you're stacking up a big wave. Like I wouldn't go for the Shrine here. I think that's a mistake. When you have this big of a wave,
Just stay
um,
with it.
yeah, and you even got him to recall off of your own pressure. Imagine if you push that wave in 4 or 5 seconds, like you queued one of the melees and push the range fast first. You basically have one or two more minions right now, and he wouldn't have been there yet because you had to cap. You might have gotten like one third of one of the towers, if not half, depending on how poorly he
Damn.
plays it. And that
So
adds
I
up a
should have just.
lot. Yeah, it's like a war of attrition. Like you don't really play for kills. A lot of the times you get a kill in the solo lane, the really easy ones, is basically in this situation. Imagine you broke both of the towers, and it's just a fort, and he's trying to like defend your push. He can't like run to his towers anymore, and it's basically just free. Um,
So should I? Was I doing the right thing, hanging back right there?
no, I think you can like ignore him. Like let's say he interrupts your whirlwind, you just pop shots for like additional fury and just start slamming him with W, and then you keep Eing again. But one of the things you do that I don't really like is that when new waves crash, if you don't let them like hit the right point of the lane, they'll all hit you. So like you're taking a little bit of minion damage, which is okay. But if he fights you in it, he'll like actually kind of do okay on the trade. Also, like
Oh, I should let
here,
them crash.
yeah, and also here, I think you should be like spamming your W button like crazy, and because
Okay.
you can't spin in that angle, because like you might take tower shots if you go, because you need to get this like fully pushed in. You see what I mean when you E there? It doesn't really do that much. And he won't really like interrupt you if you're just using W's. But it's okay. Even like, here's what I will say: the fact that you're literally just holding top the entire time means that people in bottom are more likely to die on their team than your team. The reason why is they have to do stupid things just to basically hold the point because you have full control of the point top. Also, when you are spinning, when you're spinning on the wave, after he uses his Q, can you pause for a second? Because this might help you a little bit with another matchup too. When he Qs you and he interrupts your first whirlwind on the second one, keep hugging his body, and every like half to a third of a second, walk a little bit backwards and walk back into his body. The reason why is if you keep walking into his body, just like the Imperius matchup, if he tries to like, for instance, Imperius tries to Q you or Nuke tries to EU, he can't because there's a minimum amount of distance that he has to move before he can like use his CC. So like that's like the important thing on not letting your second whirlwind get interrupted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So with the why? What's the point of walking back? Why wouldn't I just hug him?
I mean, you could, but the thing is, you want to make sure you're dropping the range minion aggro. So, like, a lot of the times when you're whirlwinding on top of a character, like, you see that one minion that's about to die right now? Let's just say, hypothetical, he was still there and you were fighting him. If that minion died and you didn't walk backwards for like a millisecond, those range minions would all attack you and they do like 40 to 50 damage, which is a lot. So you just back up for a millisecond to drop the aggro on those minions, and then you like walk back in, sort of. And if you feel as though like he's really good and he's like really good at interrupting with your thing, if you walk back a little bit, you don't have to. Like a lot of it's just gouging out like how high skilled like your opponent is. Like a lot of the times I'm in the soul lane and I'm like, this guy's on crack. And then those games I'll end up getting the wall in literally 2 minutes. If you're playing against someone and you're like, oh, this guy's good, then you focus more on like the fundamentals, like pushing the wave and only trading damage, you know, when you can. But it also depends on the matchup. And what I will say is that Anubarak actually does pretty well into Sonya. It's not, and this guy didn't take spell armor either. If he did at level 1, it would be even harder than it was. Also, when you're in these matchups, for instance, where you're supposed to win, like right now, I would push those 4 minions in and tap just so you can unload pressure as quick as possible. So that's what I would do. Like if you're in easier matchups, your tap isn't important because you're supposed to be winning. You know what I mean? So like using it just to create additional pressure, like even if they haven't used their tap or they did use their tap, is really good. And like you're putting it on cooldown so you could use it again. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can just press play again and we can keep going on. So let's see. I think you're waiting for these minions to die before you go tap.
Yeah, I think.
I mean that's okay too.
All right.
But honestly, yeah, I mean if he left it's okay too. So since you just did that, like I didn't know because we didn't know the Anubarak was gonna back, but if he didn't back, it was good to take your tap. But since for some reason this guy keeps recalling with full life, you did the right thing. So ignore what I just said. But I'm just generalizing it if like the person's not leaving lane too much. Just using it for more, you know, more tempo. Because a lot of what HOTS is literally tempo. I think like the biggest mistake lower rank people make is they have issues with tempo. Like they might get like solo kills or something, and then their tempo is really bad, and they don't get too much value. Like for instance, that time that you went on the top shrine, when he recalled, that was like a waste of a really good opportunity to get a lot of tempo. And here, when you see Li Ming here throwing your spells at you, you play this perfectly. I was gonna say just run, don't try to fight her. Like here, for instance, you always take your top, which you do, which is good. Um, yeah, you're playing this basically perfectly. You're like, okay, fine, I got free advantage. And look, Gazlo's dead bottom. Exactly what I just said. You create the pressure advantage, and then the enemy on the other team who's creating the pressure advantage on their side is outnumbered and he just dies. Um, I have no problem with you doing this camp, but I think you should have taken the wave first because you're probably gonna lose the three melee minions EXP. So I think that you should have pushed the minion wave first. It wasn't gonna take you that long. It was only gonna take you like 5 seconds. So I think that was a
So
little bit of an
besides
issue.
soaking that minion wave, I think going camp here with
It's fine, but it's like okay. But generally, I would have only done this camp. You can pause for a second. I only would have done this camp if someone was in the lane. The reason why is if you push that minion wave, there's only one tower here. So that means that you would have, even if one person did come, one tower kills a minion so slowly, you're guaranteed that tower instantly. On top of it, like if you killed that minion wave and someone did rotate up and you didn't take that tower either way, like let's say you went to do the camp afterwards, that one tower takes out the minion wave so slowly that that guy would have been just stuck killing the minion wave, whoever it was. Let's say it was Gazlo, because it is. Even that Gazlo, even if he drops his like TNT, whatever thingy, on all seven of the minions, he would have been there for a good 8 seconds. So you're creating pressure like that by doing the camp before you take the minion wave, or not at least pushing that tower if nobody showed up. You're basically giving Gazlo the opportunity to get pressure by capping the top point. Even though he should have pushed the minion wave first. Let's say he did push the minion wave first, then it would have been extremely bad for you because you would have lost. Let's see how close you are to done. Oh, you only would have lost like maybe 2 minions, but even then, like there's so many games where a team is up like 5 or 6 kills and they got like an objective and they're up only a half level. This is literally what makes the difference. Like for instance, if you push that wave in and Gazlo showed up at the same time he did, he would have lost 2 melee minions, maybe three, and he would have lost that tower, which is like a decent amount of EXP. It's like half a minion wave. So that's basically a full, you get the full minion wave soak, and basically he's losing a full minion wave, which is like a lot. That's like a third, if not half level. I'd say it's closer to a third, but the camp's okay. And you took it at a decent time when the shrine's spawning. But the thing is, like, you don't really need the camp to hold the top point because you're Sonya and you have so much pressure. You get press play again. So here's what I would do at this situation. And even if you didn't have the camp, you beat Gazlo because Gazlo's Gazlo. Because your team's not even focused on capping bottom, if I were you, I would literally just focus on taking this fort down. I wouldn't even look to cap for a while. Um,
so just not do what I'm just push this.
yeah, like I wouldn't play the Gazlo game right here. In fact, if you didn't, all those turrets would have expired when you wanted to cap it anyways. Also, you're missing like some EXP soak.
A lot of minions.
Yeah, and you might kill this guy right here, but you just lost 4 minions, which is basically almost a kill. And then because he was being an idiot and just standing on the shrine, you probably would have already had half the fort if you wanted to kept defending that. Because he would have been out of
Yeah.
position. He wouldn't have been able to actually walk through this like area and like set up. In fact, he was screwed if you did that. He was basically hard trolling actually. Because if he comes through your minion wave there and tries to fight you or even run back to your tower, you just pop Wrath and kill him. He's just dead, and he can't even tickle you because you have the spell armor too. So yeah, I mean what you end up doing gets you a DK, but the DK wasn't gonna be worth the top four that you would have gotten, which is like way better. But I like your style. I like how I see a lot of solo lane players. They'll like leave their lane constantly. If you're double soaking, it's okay, but this isn't really the best map for it. Like you might, if you double soak a lot, you might end up like taking free damage because the people from their 4 man might randomly come and be like, oh look, it's Sonya, I'm gonna go poke her a lot, and that's what happens a lot. So double soaking isn't optimal. Even that one time you took the camp, it wasn't optimal because of like the reasons I specified above, like with the how he recalled and the one tower can't soak up the shots too much. Even if you just killed that
Yeah,
minion
where I would
wave,
have got more.
yeah. So you end up getting the fort anyways. But I think it would have been way easier if you push with the camp right away. Because the DK, and they nerfed the crap out of it, it's just not that good anymore. Like, you guys did end up getting a fort with it, but I think it has more to do with the enemy team comping extremely bad. Like they have an orb build leaning and a castle. You're not gonna really win much games with that. I actually like what you're doing right now, and the only reason why, and I didn't think you had to get
Because
off.
I didn't.
You saw their whole team was bottom. I'm guessing because your team had vision for like the last 15 seconds. If you didn't get
And then
off
yeah,
it, I think you would have been done. But let's say
I
like
would have. Yeah, I would have
let's
been.
say they show up here, you just leave. I mean, it's okay if they get it, because you know what would have happened anyways? Okay, this is kind of bad. I know, even if you do kill him, I think the right player, especially when you get into higher ranks, is you just leave. Because let's just say you did the camp for them anyways, they're gonna do it. They have like, look at the map, you can pause for a second. What are they even gonna do right now other than do that camp if you weren't starting it for them? They have nothing to do. They can't clear mid wave. They're gonna die because you're up 13. There's no wave bottom. There's no wave top. Like there's literally nothing for them to take other than that camp. Like that might be a reason for you to not do it, but because you saw four people there and your Sonya, four people bottom. If you could take that fast enough, you're denying a ton of EXP, and then literally that wave is gonna force two people to get top, and you might be able to like do something on the map. Like right now, all the forts are down, but maybe you could have gone like two people to camp the Giants bush on the bottom left side and get a random pick, like stuff like that. Like
So
that. Sorry, what were you gonna say? No, go ahead. Don't worry.
so I think I saw them bot, and then we lost vision on them. So that's why I backed.
No,
But
it's
if I
fine.
had
No, I
just
mean,
stayed, I would have.
yeah, you probably would have finished in time, but it's okay. I was more happy that once they did come, actually, you did kind of mess up a little bit. You fought him for a while. If he's not just running for his life there, because you took him to 20% life, if he's not literally running for his life, that means that his whole entire team is probably there, or at least like these two people, if not their whole team. So you could have died there. I mean, they don't have the best characters in the game for like ganking, so that's why you just walked out. But when you see he's just standing there and fighting you, that was like a prime example of what I was talking about earlier with like the if they're tanking the minion wave. It's like the same concept, fighting over a camp. If he's just not running for his life when you're literally 100 zeroing him in your full life, it's pretty obvious that people are literally within 3 seconds of where you are on an enemy team. And if your team's coming too, obviously just stay there. But nobody was even close at all. So yeah, you can press play again.
So overall, you don't think it was that big of a mistake giving them that camp?
No, no, no. You're always supposed to give the camp there when their team comes because they were gonna take it anyways. They have nothing else to do. But if you steal
But
it from them, you get free pressure. So I had no problem with that.
okay, you ready to?
Yeah, you can keep going with the video. Here, so basically at this stage of the game, where you have all the forts down, there isn't too much to do top anymore. So what I would do is I would go middle for a little bit until that camp reaches, which is basically what you do, which is perfect. Because you guys have 13 advantage for a little bit. If I were you, I would actually ping my team to go do bot camp right now. I guess they know. But if you see them fighting, for instance, even though they're down 13, you can basically start rotating down without finishing this whole camp. It's a little bit big right now, but if you cleared a little more, you can just leave this wave and go rotate because there's a catapult. So like right now, for instance, I would have went bottom because your team's fighting, but I think it ends up being okay. But yeah, you took way too long to rotate here. I think you should have, you didn't need to clear the whole thing. Like you need to realize that, oh, I have a catapult minion and it does like so much AoE damage. Because there's a really good chance your team's gonna die. They basically live with one life, at least your healer. But you can't always count on that being the case. So yeah, so recognize when you have catapults, it'll quickly shove the wave. Like look at the wave top right now. It's like I know you cleared it, but like it's already stacked up so nicely, and that's all because of how important the catapult is. So this is a good rotation onto the enemy team. What I was gonna say was like, you know how you said that, oh, I don't have really good opportunities to flank. You know what you could have done? You could have cut through the Giants camp for like a deep flank. If you and you only do that because you're gonna be late as fuck if you do that. You only do that if you look at your team and you see that they're not in any danger of dying for a while. After they got that one kill, they were all fine. So you could have gotten like a deep flank on the Li Ming and just blown her up, and then went for the Gazelle afterwards. But I think it's very respectable that you just came through the lane because it's like it's hard to assess those situations where you know, oh, is my team actually okay here? Like, can I go for like a deep flank behind them and get a lot of value? So there's that. Here when I have the DK, I'd say you should just be focusing hitting the building the most. Yeah. Because the thing is, your team would be able to help you a little more, and it would have been a little bit harder to get gorged. But you dying there actually ensures the keep because they're all hitting you. But also here, if I were you, I would spam ping my team, spam ping my V button, which is the retreat button, like crazy. I know in lower ranks, it's kind of weird. I guess your team actually got a kill. I didn't see that, so they're fine. Let's just say that Li Ming was alive and you died like that. They didn't really have to use too much to kill you. Obviously, it was a gorge, but that's not really like an offensive cooldown other than the fact that like they're killing you. But like it would be 5-on-4, right? And it's just like more likely that your team would die. I didn't actually see that the Li Ming died. So it's fine in this case. But after you get what you wanted, like here's the best way to explain it. You guys got this keep, right? Even if this Anubarak dies, and let's just say hypothetical, the Li Ming was alive. Even if this Anubarak dies, you guys are basically getting nothing. All you're gonna get is this camp at the bottom right here. And even if you didn't kill them, you would be able to get that the bottom Bruiser camp anyways, because you have 16 advantage. Or they wouldn't do it, and you would be able to wait up for your respawn and do it anyways, because you guys have 16 advantage for a while. All this kill is gonna get is the giants that are gonna get cleared. Watch, you can press play, and I guarantee you what's gonna happen. Because it's Storm League, people don't really follow macro calls that much. I'm not even sure if this guy even dies. Or I guess none of the thing, because this is plat, and they just keep fighting. But basically, this fighting accomplishes nothing, even if you guys do get the kill. So you guys get it. Now let's see what happens. Because you can't push mid. Yeah, there we go. You guys got the kill, and you go for this camp. And
What would have done it?
the reason why this doesn't matter is watch what happens. Once you get this camp, everybody's gonna go for the bottom bruiser camp right after. They're just gonna clear this camp for free. So you didn't really need that kill at all. It was just kind of like pointless, you know what I mean? And if the KTZ or someone tries to push with it alone while you guys are doing that camp, they're probably gonna die. So I like what you're doing by going for this camp at this time, because your team really doesn't need you. Um, but honestly,
So
after
what would you have done differently? Oh, sorry.
no, I just said I like what you did. I think what you're doing is perfectly fine. But what I would do is
Even
after you
turn.
take this camp, I would just run bottom and tell your team to go push with the bottom camp. Just because there isn't really a point in being top right now. Being top just does nothing. If you go push that wave mid alone, you're probably gonna die. And I don't think you can invade this because your team isn't in position. If they were, it would actually be a pretty good invade.
I think my
Um,
team was telling me to go in.
I think this was actually really good because you see a new Barak bottom. So this is actually it was fine because you didn't really have people who can crowd control your whirlwind, and you saw your teams collapsing. So if you know your team's all coming and there's one person bottom, that was perfectly fine. In fact, that was the best play you could have done. Them capping the camp before you get there is like not in your power. Like that's all about timing. And you get used to it when you invade enough. Um, so yeah, here I would probably just cap top and then run bottom. Because they would have to walk through your camp to show top, which they wouldn't do. You don't need to push this minion wave. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. What you did was literally good. Even scouting like this is better than pushing that minion wave. Those like that minion wave at this stage of the game when you're up 3 levels, It doesn't really matter. Also, I wouldn't use Wrath like the way you just did. It's not, believe it or not, even how ahead you guys are, it's not a guaranteed end, even with a DK in this situation, just because the health of the DK at 14 minutes is like not that high. I know that like when it's like, really late into the game, like the DK just ends no matter what. Like I'd say like 18 minutes, 19 minutes is probably the cutoff where all you have to do is right click with the DK and the game's over. But I would have just held my wrath for a little bit longer. I'm not saying don't pop it, but like wait for the DK to reach and all that stuff. I mean, you have shots of fury, so it's fine. But it's okay, and I kind of respect this core call because you guys have been snowballing so hard. But if this was me and this was like a higher level game, I would probably say it's better to go for bot keep just because um there is like a 10 to 20% chance that you guys don't end here. So yeah, you can press play. We'll see what happens. So if I'm you
So I
here,
was trying to hit the spear on,
yeah. So if I'm you here,
try
I
to
would
get
have
a.
literally been on the core already. Hitting a Nubarak is the worst thing you could have done. I would have been on this side of the core. Oh, you can't see me. But basically the opposite side of where the DK is and hitting the core because Sonya has some insane core damage. Um. So yeah, I actually think that if you did what I was basically saying, like be on the opposite side of the DK, if you do that, basically they can't hit you and the DK at the same time. You would have at least gotten 40 to 50% core damage by yourself. And because nobody else on your team was hitting the core, you guys would have gotten it. And what I mean by that is because you weren't doing that, nobody else was hitting the core either. So that actually probably would have been an end because they weren't focusing the DK too much. You end up getting a kill, but that doesn't really matter. I kind of don't like that you went back in because you have to see that they have a Li Ming on their team, and you just dying there gave a reset that potentially might have caused another kill. But either way, in those situations where you're going for the end, like the way you guys did, and I always say this when I'm in parties with friends and people, you just split around the core. Obviously some characters can't, like Brightwing can't, so he'll probably be around, like the KT and the KTZ, especially when you have these comps with two mages. But you and the DK have to be separated from everybody else. And the reason for that is that if you guys are hitting the core and you're separated, like split up, even if someone dies, they have to go to that specific quadrant to kill that person, right? So let's say they go for the three. They go for Brightwing, Kael'thas, and the KTZ, and you guys are in like a triangle formation. The DK is like 3 or 4 feet away from those three, and you're even farther from them. And then they have to choose between you and the DK, and by then the game's just over. Because you would have gone like 40 to 50 yourself, and if those three were hitting the thing, they would have gone probably the rest. And I'm not saying it would have 100% worked. That's why I said there was a 10 to 20% chance that they would have been able to hold. But the way you guys did it, basically, it wasn't even a high percentage chance. It was very low. And you guys were relying on basically getting a kill for it to work. So yeah. And in the first place, I wouldn't have even went for that play. I would have went for bot keep, just because of what I said. Like the DK dies pretty fast. Like they weren't even focusing it, and it died kind of fast. They were focusing your backliners and you, because you were kind of hitting the new brag. So yeah. Also, you got a little bit unlucky with the fact that the DK punted the gorge, and you had to literally tank the fort and the keep for like 1 or 2 seconds. So that was a little unlucky. Um, yeah, and then here in this situation, like they might just get DK and there's nothing you guys can do about it. If you guys at least got the bottom keep, you would have been in a lot better of a situation just because of the fact that you get catapults in that lane too. And catapults are so strong because if you have vision on this map of the mid and the top lane, I mean the bottom and the top lane, you basically just have so much more control of what you want to do, and people are always scared to walk through a minion wave and cap the point, which is really important. So you guys get a kill, even though there was a zero, it shouldn't have been dying at all there. Yeah, there isn't really too much to talk about this fight. If I were you, I'd just go cap right now. one of the points, so your team just
Yeah, I
doesn't
should be going back.
doesn't have to freaking stand middle for 40 years. I don't think anybody on your team would have died here because they had two people dead. This is basically kind of a waste of time what you're
So I should
doing.
have tapped and gone to one of
Well,
the.
you should have gone top and then tapped right after and then came mid. I think your team would have been fine. Unless they're like really bad players, they won't really die to the combination of Gazlo, Ana, and Li Ming. Especially when the Li Ming is literally just in pure power form. She's not even throwing out any spells. So she's kind of trolling. So Joanna basically ends up doing what you were supposed to do, which is kind of bad because it's easier for the main tank to keep everybody alive than a Sonya, even though you're also really tanky. I guess it's okay. You see them backing up, you should have been bottom already. This is all like a mistake. Even if you kill them here, this was all wrong. And they actually potentially could have won this fight if they played correctly. Obviously, it's easier for you because you're Sonya 20, you have all the cooldowns, but yeah, you cut it kind of close. You guys shouldn't have even went for that fight in the first place. You just have so much pressure if you have both of the points first. Because even if you guys kind of out trade them, you have to go cap bottom afterwards and get the DK anyways. Also, you should have been spinging the retreat button like crazy here when you were going to tap. Tap, because I know that's what you're doing. So yeah. Oh, you shouldn't have went back in here. There was like nothing you could do 1-on-4. That's kind of bad. So yeah. You just need to recognize a little bit better, like, macro play. Like the macro on fighting there is that they can just walk away and walk backwards, and it's the net neutral situation. But if you cap bottom and then you guys fight, they can't leave because you get the DK. You know what I'm saying? So what goes from being like a situation that's like 50-50, it becomes 100-0. And you're actually at that territory that if you capped bot and you guys just push them back, it's a guaranteed end because it's a 21-minute DK. For them, it's not a guaranteed end right now because you guys still have the keep up. But actually, no, you guys have too many people dead. I didn't realize that. So yeah, they just end with this. But yeah, basically the Joanna going in, you guys all being middle was like not right. You should have told them to wait. I'm capping bot. Like you typed that in chat, like, oh, I'm quickly capping bot, because as long as you guys don't have bot capped, they can just always walk away, no matter what. If you know what I mean. But yeah, if you do cap bot, they can't walk away. They just can't. They have to take the fight no matter what, or they lose the game.